Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Well, today I'm in some traffic. I'm not in the Boss 302, and I thought I would do a little video kind of giving you guys an update on what's going on with the car, as well as I wanted to kind of actually talk about how I got it and how I actually came about getting my own Boss 302. So to start things off, I just got a call today, and the transmission is going back in the car. They finally got the parts back from Ford that they needed, the ones that were being ordered in. It was actually the gears themselves. So it looks like they've got it all back together. Hopefully they should be getting it all buttoned up today, and then a little bit finishing off tomorrow morning. They're probably going to go take a couple drives in it, make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to, and then fingers crossed I should be picking the car up on Saturday, which puts it at 29 days since I've had my car. And man, I got mixed feelings about that. You know, it sucks because you don't have your car. You're also hoping that this is going to fix one of the biggest issues you have with the car. And at the same time, I kind of feel like absence makes the heart grow fonder. I mean, I'm hoping that when I get the car back and I start driving it again, I'm like, man, I miss this car. It's going to kind of re-excite me about it. Not that I wasn't excited about driving the car every day anyways, but just maybe it'll kind of give me that next little bit of motivation and encouragement to kind of go out and have some more fun with that car. So that's where that's at right now. But it got me thinking, you know, the one story that I've never told is how I actually got the car. And 29 days waiting seems like a long time, but when I compare it to when I got the car, it's nothing. So the story of how I got my car goes like this. I've been on the hunt for a Boss 302 for quite some time, constantly looking in our Auto Trader, our Craigslist, and everything else. Came up to a couple of cars. Some of them just didn't quite meet my expectations of what I was looking for. A few of them did, but they quickly sold. So that kind of told me that the market was definitely strong on the car. If these things were moving that fast, I'd see the ad, it'd only be a couple days old, you know, really low kilometers, looks like it's in great shape, well documented car. I'd call them up, no, sorry, that's sold. Okay, so this one happened to come up, and as luck may have it, it's a dealership that I've had some other really good experiences with, where we ordered another car from them. And the ad went up, I literally called them right away and was like, hey, I see you guys have this Boss 302. They ended up transferring me back to the sales manager that I worked with on the last car. And at first he was kind of trying to brush the car off a little bit. It was like, yeah, we probably shouldn't have posted it. It is for sale, but and I quickly said, hey, it's me, Sean. I bought that Celine from you. And they're like, oh, you bought the Celine? Okay, yeah, I remember you are. Yeah. They're like, well, we'll get the car out of storage and we'll bring it over to the dealership and you come down and take a look at it. I thought to myself, storage? Why is this car in storage? Okay, sure, I'll come down. So I take a look at this thing, and lo and behold, it's got 4,200 kilometers on it. It's mint. There's not a mark on the car. They pop the trunk. They show me it is just full of parts, and they're like, this is all the factory parts. The guy had a couple aftermarket things done to it, but he's got this big catalog, and they hand me this binder, and it's got everything done to the car, receipts, when it was done, all done at the dealership, and then, you know, also, you know, cataloging the parts that are in the trunk that were the original factory parts. So we kept everything right down to the nuts and bolts and washers. It also had the original owner's collector's kind of box, so that was really cool. It came with a car cover, came with a book, a DVD, keychain, and a couple other memorabilia, like a poster. So I was like, man, this is really good. This car's checking all the right boxes. So the wife and I took it for a drive. We fell in love with it right away, and we're like, okay, Chris, you know who we are. We bought cars from you before. Like, let's make the numbers work. So we found a number that worked for both of us, that we were both pretty happy with. And then Chris drops this one on me. He goes, well, here's the problem. I'm like, all right, well, what's the problem? He's like, there's a recall on the airbags in these things. I'm like, oh, okay. At the time, I genuinely didn't know about it. And he said, well, the problem is the owner of our dealership doesn't want to sell this one and a few other cars we have until the airbags get done. And this is June. I'm like, okay, well, what's the expected timeline? They're like, Ford's telling us the end of the fourth quarter. Like, that's winter. Like, that's Christmas. Like, you guys, this is like the peak time to be selling these type of cars. It's like June, it's summer. That's when you want these things out the door. And I'm like, okay, how are we gonna make this work? And you know, I kind of approached it in such a way like this. I said, Chris, you know, the last car I bought from you, it didn't pass emissions, right? Which is a common thing we used to have here in BC, and California guys, a lot of other places in the States, they all have emissions. And I said, well, I bought that car and I was willing to sign, you know, waivers and documents stating that I understood it would not pass emissions. I did get it to pass. But that, okay, if I signed those, I said, can we maybe work something out with this car? I understand it has an airbag recall. I'm fully aware of that now, and I'm willing to kind of sign any potential waivers, making sure that the dealership had no obligations if anything was to happen. And in turn, I would commit myself to bringing it back to you once the parts come in and we would get the recall done. And he's like, yeah, you know what? That really works. That works for me. Let me see what the owner says. So this is where it all starts. He then basically gets back to me a couple days later and goes, yeah, the owner's kind of wants to think about it. Okay. And he's like, I'm really pushing him. Let me see what we can do. Another week goes by. Hey, Chris, you know, want to check in, see what's going on. He's like, yeah, we think we got him. He's willing to do it. He's going to talk to his lawyers now. Okay. Another week goes by. Obviously, you know, we're 2+ weeks in, and I'm kind of like, okay, what's going on? And he's like, okay, well, yeah, the lawyers are definitely going to write something up. Let's see what we can do. Another week goes by. Long story short, guys, it ended up pushing about 6-7 weeks until I got my car. I signed more paperwork getting this car than I did my mortgage. So that was a big shocker to me. And you know, I went through a lot of emotions with that, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well. I'd love to see some comments in the below. Just tell me about maybe some of the experiences you guys have had. But for me, you know, I went through the whole gambit, and I was listening to Saul Mondran the other day talking about a couple cars he's waiting for, and it gets to a point, and he said it best, where the excitement's just gone. You just don't care anymore. You're like, you know what, I kind of don't even want the car. Like, I don't know. And I went through that for sure, and I started to think, like, you know, like, forget this, I'll find another car. I couldn't find anything that was as good as this car. And at the same time, it angered me that I waited this long, and then to give it up and get somebody else will get the car. I was like, no way, like, that's my car, like, that's the one I want. And you know, when we finally went and picked it up, they were being really apologetic. I get it. The owner was really trying to make sure he was covering himself. He put the sales manager and my sales guy in a hard position where, you know, they really wanted to get the sale. They knew I was a repeat customer. They wanted my business. You know, they were stuck. They couldn't do anything until he finally said yes. But my wife kind of went up to the sales manager at the end, and she's like, you know, it was like every day was Christmas Eve, and then he'd wake up and it was December 22nd, December 23rd. It just never, Christmas never came. And it hit him hard. He was like, wow, I never really thought about it that way. And I didn't think about it that way either until my wife kind of said it. And I thought, you know, it sucks, but sometimes it's worth it. I definitely love the car, and I'm happy I have it. So, you know, in the end, it also makes me like, I never want to get rid of this thing, because I went through so much to get the car that, you know, the fear of just selling it and maybe wanting another one down the road might become more difficult. That is the situation with the Celine I had. I sold that thing, and now they're even more scarce to find in that same condition, and up here in Canada they're actually even more rare. So yeah, you know, it's definitely another car I'd love to have, but it does pose a challenge. That was a great opportunity that I had to buy that car, but now that it's gone, it's gone, and I don't know, it might be a challenge for me to get another one later on. We'll see how things go. But that's where it's at, guys. That's kind of the story, and hopefully Saturday I get the car back. Definitely will have my camera with me, and I'll be filming something, but I just I didn't want to leave you guys in the dark. I wanted you guys to know what was going on. You know, I'm driving this truck. It's been serving me good. It gets me to work. You know, I definitely appreciate having this thing as like a safety net backup, to something there that I can drive when I need it. So definitely helps me out. And that's it, guys. All right, I appreciate you guys all for watching. If this is the first video you've seen, please subscribe. I do try to put out videos every 7 to 10 days or so, and as you guys know, I will be driving the car all year long, so winter's coming. This is going to be interesting. All right, guys, see you next week.